So Jeremy and I recently picked up the Xbox Game Pass for PC.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just for Xbox.
No, it's been on PC for a little bit. And this month that we're recording, not when this comes out, I promise you.
It's like 6 months ago for you listening.
Probably, roughly. It's on sale for $1 for your first month. It's only $10, like normally, by the way, which is an insane deal to me. Not sponsored, by the way. Wish I was. Wink.
No, if you do want to sponsor us, we will not talk shit about it for the next. It's a very terroristic threat on sponsorship. It's like you want us to speak not poorly.
How about this?
Send money.
I'll speak well of Game Pass, but if Microsoft sponsors us, I will eviscerate PS Now because I got things to say about PS Now.
But I'm gonna hold that. Terrible.
It's really bad. It's not very good. Mm-hmm. They're like, we have 800 games, and about 10 of them you've heard of.
To be fair, I kind of feel like when I was looking through the Game Pass, to some level, it's like, well, I kind of own some of these games already.
I had that a lot of that as well, where it's like, all right, shit, I already own
But
this.
I didn't really feel like, ooh, I need that. You know, so we bought it specifically so we could play Sea of Thieves.
Yes, which is what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Did you have a point, though?
No.
That was the main thing?
Yeah, that was what we call an anti-segue, right?
Yeah.
Gave it back to you.
Speaking of, how is Sea of Thieves? Like, I remember when it came out, it was supposed to be like Xbox, like, biggest game to
and
date.
then it, like, tanked.
Yeah, and then, like, it got, like, the same reception that No Man's Sky originally got.
And I do get a very similar vibe to No Man's Sky, to be honest.
Okay.
But the thing about Sea of Thieves is the mechanics are fun. The water is just fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, great water physics.
I cannot get over how beautiful the ocean looks when you're, like, sailing. I love the mechanics. There's, like, 5 different instruments that you can play with each other. There's a bell that rings just as quick as you can press the button. So that's my favorite job on the ship.
You are giving a review like a spaceman who's never seen a video game before. You're like, you can hit F and you pay respects.
But no, the sailing is super cool. Typically with the group of 4 that we've been playing with, Jeremy's on the helm, so he's controlling it. But the thing is, apparently, during like the maritime period of humanity, everyone was fucking stupid because they put the wheel behind all 3 masts rather than at the front of the ship where he can see.
Well, it's because you're connected to the rudder.
To the rudder, yeah. But also, wouldn't it be really sick if you could see where you were going?
Well, the way I understand it, and I'm not particularly a maritime specialist, generally and stuff like that, you're like, have as little moving pieces as possible. Because something that I thought we were running into was that, because like the rudder chain can break on a boat. Mm-hmm. And so that basically your steering wheel's just completely separated.
We were in that storm and you were just like, I cannot move.
Yeah, I legitimately thought, I was like, oh, did we mechanically just lose the rudder chain? Because I was like, that's really fucking advanced for this casual game. It's like, all right, yeah, it's like getting a pulley system. It's like you need to calculate the weight of what you're pulling up.
Where really the pulley system is, you press F on the rope and then the mast goes up or the mast goes down.
Yeah.
Wait, so did that actually happen in game,
no,
or did the game just break?
No, the storm we were in was just insane.
Yeah,
gotcha.
The last time we played Jeremy, I could hear him slowly losing his shit, which is funny to me because he loses his shit instantaneously on the show.
Oh, yeah.
But the amount of pressure it takes him to lose it off the show is astounding to me now. For the full few hours we were playing, never once did we get to sail into with the wind. We were always sailing against it. And he was just so fucking mad.
Like, I was just sitting there. I'm like, yeah, all right, we'll be there in 40 minutes. It's a 3-minute journey, but, we'll get there. And everyone's like, it's okay. Well, we got this. I'm like, literally, you are like, hey, can we go southeast? And I'm like, both of those directions are against the wind.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, all right, checking the wind. All right. The wind is blowing from the northeast into a southwest direction. That's pretty lovely. And then we show up back from the island. It's like, we're going northeast, baby. And you're just like, all right.
See, at that point, you just pull out the Wind Waker. And
I mentioned that a couple of times where I was saying that'd be really cool because they're like, it's not super realistic. Obviously, there's like magical stuff. We found a staff that shoots like a giant bubble bomb.
Okay.
And I was saying, I wish there was one that you could use to get like a burst of wind that you just shoot at your mast.
Right.
And there might be. We have not played that much. The main thing about it, though, is there is literally 0 progression.
Yeah.
You earn gold, and that gold can be used on cosmetics. But every time you load into the game anew, you just get a new ship. the ships can't be upgraded. They can only, you have to like go to islands to get all your resources. You don't even keep your resources.
That's stupid.
I also think it's pretty stupid, but the mechanics of the game are very enjoyable, genuinely.
Like, it is as if someone, like, they clearly put a lot of thought into the sailing. Because, you know, we often talk about this, and we've mentioned this a few times, of this is probably the most realistic, like, multi-crew spaceship game.
Yeah.
But because it's like...
But it's a pirate ship.
Yeah, you're on a pirate, because there's just so much where, like, it's the first time I've ever actually played a game where I'm like, I need you guys to be doing something right now, because I cannot be doing everything.
Frequently, one of our buddies, Sean, it was usually Jeremy on the helm, myself and our buddy Connor on cannons when we get in fights. And Sean, what he would do is when we got absolutely Swiss cheesed by the other ship, he would just run around below deck, patching holes and bailing water. And like, there was one time where Sean went AFK for like 5 minutes. The moment we got into combat, we sunk in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
and we respawned on the island. Sean is just floating out in the middle of the ocean. And he's like, hey, where'd the ship go?
Sounds like fun though.
It is really, really fun. Honestly, if you pick up Game Pass, I would love to play with you.
Yeah.
That game is very fun.
I'll consider. I mean, it's only $10.
Well, it's
$10
also $1 right
and it's
now.
$1 for a month right now. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably keep it.
I've already canceled my subscription just so I don't have to. Like, I might buy it back later, but like, I always have a thing when I buy a subscription, I immediately go and cancel it, so I don't.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I might pick it up next month because I forgot this is Amazon Prime month.
Yeah, but Amazon Prime Day is a ripoff and a scam.
Well, yeah, but like I'm still gonna have to pay $150 to keep Amazon Prime.
Oh, right.
That's what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah.
I was also very confused at how
too.
you got from point A to point B, because you was like, this is Amazon Prime month, and then suddenly you were like,
No, like not Prime month, but like it's the month that I have to pay
yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Literally. So
mine's in December, I think.
My brother has his own account, and my parents have their own account. I don't know why.
Yeah, just share the account.
Yeah, I don't know
Dude,
why.
I share my account with everybody.
Yeah.
And
I'll cancel mine then. Sick.
it's so common for my parents to be like, hey, did anyone just buy anything like really expensive on Amazon? Because we just got a charge of like $200 or something like that. And I'm like, is it the yearly Amazon subscription? And they're like, oh yeah, that's probably what it is. Every year this comes by. They're like, hey, so why did someone use our card to buy this thing? And I'm like, what is it? Like, I don't know. It's like, is it just the subscription? She's like, oh yeah, that's probably what it is.
It's just, you should make a holiday around it. And then just be like, gather a bunch of friends over and wait for the phone call. And then when they say like, oh yeah, that is it, we all just go, yeah, they said the thing. Woo!
All right, so I'm getting really thirsty.
Oh yeah, everybody,
and
welcome
I
back.
need something. Well, okay, should we?
Welcome back to another episode of Crack Open a Cryptid. That was a good one. Dude, these Trulies, like seltzer lemonade ones, these things crack really well.
Yeah. So like before the show,
hold on, who are we?
Oh right,
yeah, the brand. I'm Tyler Shively.
I'm Adrian Castro.
I'm Jeremy Savage Tate.
And this is Crack Open a Cryptid, the brand, our names of ourselves and the show.
Yeah, we thank you again for tuning in.
For like the 5th episode where we almost forgot to do it.
Yeah, you probably were like, I don't know what show this is.
I mean, most of the people that listen already know us anyway, so.
Yeah, but it's the brand, Adrian.
You gotta keep the brand up.
Sorry.
Crack
Hang
the
on.
fucking Sam Adams. Ooh.
Fuck.
It wasn't bad, and then he... Ooh!
Oh man, you had
I'll
to
pick
use
that up later.
2 different...
Thank you, by the way. Thank you. Jeremy finally brought the thing that I bought him.
And then you, on the maiden voyage of it, you fucked it up. You Titanicked that bottle opener. Now, if he doesn't ever bring it again, I'll understand.
Honestly, it's fine. I understand too.
Just every time you're like, it takes so much time to get this bottle off. And I'm like, okay, here's like a regular bottle opener. And you're like, oh, it's taking
it
me
was only
quite
2 tries.
2 tries.
It's not like the other one, like the Christmas tree one, that it takes literally like
an hour.
Like an hour.
You go around it like a can opener where you're like, oh, we're gonna raise this bit up. Now we're gonna raise this bit up.
But yeah, so basically, Jeremy and I have been kind of on a pirate kick because of Sea of Thieves. Even while the 4 of us were installing the game, we hopped into Discord and just did a watch party where we all just watched Pirates of the Caribbean together.
Wait, which one?
First one.
First one, yeah.
Okay, good. It's the only good one.
See, I'm I like 2 and 3.
Yeah, I like them as well. The first one's the best, but
I disagree.
all right, well,
You know what
you don't have to watch them.
You know what I'm not a fan of?
I mean, I own
That
all
fifth
of them.
one.
Oh, that fifth one was fucking terrible.
Like, I didn't like the fourth one, but fucking Citizen Kane in comparison to that fifth one.
The fifth one was a catastrophe.
Yeah.
It's also, like, it was so mean-spirited. Like, there's a lot of jokes where it's like, okay, first of all, no one's ever made this mistake before. Like, you guys aren't that big of an idiot. But also, like, because there's a character who's like, yeah, I'm a horologist. And everyone's like, oh, the word whore is in there. So that she's clearly a prostitute. And they're like, yeah, everybody's got to have a job. And why she wouldn't be like, yeah, that's clearly not what I am. And why everyone else would be like, oh, I've never heard this iteration of the word before. Maybe it's something else. But it's like a 4-minute scene of everyone being like, oh, is that what you are?
Yeah? Okay.
And she's like, no, I look at the stars. And they're like, yeah, because you're on your back the whole time. Is that right? And then it's just like, okay, guys, like, fucking calm down. Like, that's a bit of a stretch.
It's a great point. That whole scene just exists to make a not funny joke.
Yeah.
See, and that movie also has a case of, it's the same thing of The Rise of Skywalker, how Palpatine fucked.
Oh, Palpatine
fucked. But also, Barbossa fucked?
Barbossa.
I can
around
way
this-
more see Barbossa.
fucking.
Although you're right, it would have been...
It would have been at the exact same time that Elizabeth and Will were.
Mhm.
That's not... Here's the thing. That whole movie is a huge... is a huge train wreck
Dumpster
because
fire.
they at some point retcon Jack Sparrow his origin of him being anti-slavery, and that's why he's his life of a piracy is like his main thing. And they were like, no, he's always been a pirate, and he's just kind of like a bad person. You're like, that first one, like,
established that he wasn't a bad person really that much.
It also was a big thing of piracy in the 1600s of like a lot of pirates were just naval crew that were like, well, we're either going to die in the British military or we're going to die fighting the British military. Like, it doesn't matter which one we choose. And they were like, oh, he's not necessarily a bad person. He's just branded against like the establishment. And that's why he, but now they're like, he's just always been a bad person. And I'm like, that's really weird.
Yeah.
And also directly conflicts
Like
what
the
everyone
plot.
has said in the previous movies. Do they not have some pliers? I know that this isn't really relevant right now.
What do you need it for?
he fucked up the bottle opener.
I don't know how I
Wow,
managed to like get it off.
Yo, I spent like
3 cents on that.
In my defense,
It
I think
might.
I did this.
It was like a peso, which like
Which is like 3 cents.
okay,
Wow.
I didn't want to say that.
I'm just more impressed. Like, you should have shown up with a fucking like
a
trench
bucket
coat
of them.
full of them.
Well, that's the thing. I bought a bunch of them and gave them out.
You should have bought like the entire
And I
stock,
thought I was
and
special.
we just
I mean,
send
you
it to
are. You're
people.
the only one who got that one.
Oh, okay. And I chose this one too.
Yeah.
exactly.
I chose it because it was kind of pink.
Yeah, and then some about Pokemon, if I remember correctly.
What does what's that say at the top? Is that a place?
Yeah, that's Puerto Vallarta
The
or
port of-
Puerto Vallarta.
Holy shit! I thought I was talking to a white man right there.
I know.
Did I just hear an echo in the microphone from mine?
It's
you know,
like
I
a
didn't
very-
understand you, and then you spoke my
Yeah,
language.
Yeah, finally.
No, yeah, that's like it's like a Cancun type of like destination place in
Mhm,
Mexico. So
You really channeled the Trevor Noah white man voice where he's like, no, we have the light.
But yeah, because we've been on this pirate kick, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, we haven't talked about ghosts like a whole lot on the show, and I feel like we should talk about ghosts.
We're talking
more.
about the Flying Dutchman.
So I researched the Flying Dutchman, baby.
it's my favorite thing to order at In-N-Out.
What is the Flying Dutchman in In-N-Out?
I thought you were also going to say that's my favorite thing to orgasm to, so I'm really glad that.
Also that.
Well, he orgasms to the Flying Dutchman from In-N-Out. Yeah.
Nice.
What is
Yeah.
the Flying Dutchman?
It's actually,
What is the Flying Dutchman?
I'm actually
800?
gonna have to look that up because I don't order that. Like I was kidding
Oh, no,
about
that
that.
was a bit.
In-N-Out Flying Dutchman. Which, by the way, anyone who hasn't had In-N-Out, like, I'm so sorry.
You see, don't say that though, because then you hype it up. And the thing is, In-N-Out is, in my opinion, the
Really
best of
shit.
Well, I really like In-N-Out. I
Okay.
think it's the best of the fast food places really out here.
100%, yeah.
But the amount people hype up In-N-Out.
It's not as good as everyone says it is, but it is really good.
It's not like you're going to show up and get like an orgasm when you bite into the double-double. You're just going to get close. Yeah. It just edges you.
But, all right, so the Flying Dutchman is a burger that is just 2 patties with cheese in the middle.
Oh, there's not even a bun or anything.
No. So, like, the buns are the bread. I mean, the
buns are the meat.
The patty are the buns.
Yeah.
And then the cheese is the meat. Is the patty, yeah.
I wish that it went one step further and there was like a bottom bun in the middle. You know, just like...
they just reversed the burger. Yeah. I actually really like that.
And you're like, wow, this is so greasy and like it's really hard to hold. And then you take a bite and you're like, it's just the exact same fucking burger that I've been eating this entire time. But now it's worse.
Now it's gluten-free.
So, Flying Dutchman.
So, the Flying Dutchman, the legend of the Flying Dutchman originated back in the 17th century during the height of Dutch maritime supremacy. So, most tend to attribute the legend to being like a Dutch cryptid because that's just who was in power and seeing it mostly. But this...
Wouldn't they call it the Flying Man?
Well, I believe it's because... it looked like an East India Trading Company ship. And so others would see it. And because the East India Trading Company was Dutch, then the ship is Dutch. But it's very important, by the way, I should get this out of the way. I was always under the impression, probably because I watched Spongebob as a child, that the Flying Dutchman was a man. It was not. The Flying Dutchman is the name of the ship.
I thought the exact same thing up to that second Pirates movie.
Yeah.
Like when that came out, it blew my fucking mind.
By the way, big warning. The Flying Dutchman in Pirates of the Caribbean, way more interesting than the actual cryptid. Sorry to say.
Well, to be fair, they could make stuff up.
Yes. And I mean, so did these people.
Yeah, but they hadn't seen like
Pirates of the Caribbean yet. Yeah, that's true.
They weren't. They didn't have the ability of all this pop culture that we have, where they hadn't seen Star Wars.
Yeah, they were just like, I love the wheel. That was a cool invention.
Yeah. They're like, what if the wheel was also on the boat? And they're like, holy shit.
What the fuck, dude? You can't just say that shit. That's so crazy.
I'm just imagining that their boat is like also a car, and it's like every time we try to escape it, we go on land, and then it follows us on land.
Yeah, so people were seeing the ship. It was during the height of the East India Trading Company. And the sightings, while they started in the early 17th century, they actually persisted up through the 20th century. It just got more sparse as time went on. There have not been sightings since the 20th century, though. Like, legitimately.
Because we have all those big naval ships now. We're just like, fuck them. We'll just shoot down.
Just shoot it. Yeah. So the ship is only ever seen in storms or rough water, and it's usually obscured at least partly by fog that a lot of the times there was no fog initially. There's no fog around you, but there's just fog around the ship. It was originally seen in the Cape of Good Hope, South Africa.
Okay.
Which is the
bottom
bottom tip of South Africa. Of Africa, not just South Africa.
Well, it is also the bottom bit of South Africa.
It's true. It's both.
Yeah, it's both, yeah.
It can be both. But this ship has literally been seen in every single ocean on the planet by someone at some point. The Flying Dutchman is not only relegated to one area. This is a cryptid that has been seen literally across the entire world. The first record of the ship was from John MacDonald in his reports Travels in Various Parts of Europe, Asia, and Africa during a series of 30 Years Upward, written in 1790. But the report is like really fucking boring. I was going to read this one, but it basically says, yo man, I saw a weird fucking boat out there. It's very similar to, if you remember the Intro to Aliens one, and I explained Levy in Rome. The first account of the UFO was, I saw a boat and it was in the sky. He was just like, I saw a boat and it looked spooky. That's considered the first report ever. I don't care. But I do want to talk about one of the first reports, which talks about the origin of the ship, and it was described in Chapter 6 of A Voyage to Botany Bay, which was an account attributed to George Barrington. So, Adrian, if you wouldn't mind, could you go ahead and read this excerpt for me?
All right, hang on. Let me take a swig of my beer.
Mm-hmm.
Still have that stupid chocolate thing, like... This is really good.
It's a good beer, right? The Sam Adams Seasonal Oktoberfest?
Yeah, I've never had... The only Sam Adams beer I've ever had was the The one that they used to show in commercials all the time back in the day.
Yeah. I've never had a regular Sam Adams. I've only had their seasonals.
Yeah.
And their seasonals always fucking rule.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Anyways, I had often heard of the superstition of sailors respecting apparitions and doom, but had never given much credit to the report. It seems that some years since a Dutch man of war was lost off the Cape of Good Hope, and every soul on board perished. Her consort weathered the gale and arrived soon after the Cape. Having refitted and returning to Europe, they were assailed by a violent tempest nearly in the same latitude. In the night watch, some of the people saw, or imagined they saw, a vessel standing for them under the press of a sail, as though she would run them down. One in particular affirmed it was the ship that had foundered in the former gale, and that it must certainly be her, or the apparition of her. But on its clearing up, the object, a dark, thick cloud, disappeared. Nothing could do away the idea of this phenomenon in the minds of the sailors. And, on their relating the circumstances when they arrived in port, the story spread like wildfire, and the supposed phantom was called the Flying Dutchman. From the Dutch, the English seaman got the infatuation, and there are very few Indiamen, but what has some on board who pretends to have seen the apparition? I didn't understand any of that.
So let me explain. Essentially, the Flying Dutchman, the ship it specifically is a man of war, which is a very common warship back in the time. The man of war had, up until I believe the Spanish galleon, I might be wrong about that, had the most number of cannons on deck of any boat. I think it was only beat by
three cannons.
Well, the galleon had like 112.
Okay, so like it was 3 and then it went up to 112.
Yeah. I believe the only ships that beat it were the Spanish galleon and the English ship of the line. But the man of war was the Dutch really, really scary ship. The one that could fuck you up.
How many cannons did it really have?
I don't actually know how much the man of war had. Figure that out.
Do you even do research on these things?
So the man of war was this enormous ship, and it was lost off the Cape of Good Hope, like I was mentioning earlier. But what supposedly happened was a storm flew in out of nowhere as the ship was going by, and the ship wanted to come to port, right? They wanted to dock somewhere so they could weather the storm, but no dock would allow them in. So they had to go directly through the storm, essentially, and it didn't sink the ship, but it killed every single person on board. So the ship itself, when they say it's a ghost ship, the ship is kind of the ghost.
Oh, interesting.
See, I was going to ask if it was a ghost ship. Because I know that that's a thing.
Yes, but it's not like how Pirates of the Caribbean showed it, where it's
No.
crude.
Like it's like the ship is sailing, just nobody's on board.
Yes, which is, if you've ever played the game Return of the Obra Dinn.
I have.
Great game.
I have not.
The Obra Dinn would have been a ghost ship. That was not uncommon for the entire crew of a ship to die, and the ship would just
keep sailing,
keep going.
I mean, it's like we use the term now. We call it a ghost town. It's the same thing. It's just when everyone's moved out of a town, but it still stands.
No wheels on that town, by the way. That's probably why.
Yeah, they can't move the town.
Why don't we just take the town and push it somewhere else?
Well, you got to bury it first. Which that's always something that bothered me as a kid.
What?
Well, that they buried the town and then pushed it. In that SpongeBob episode.
Did they bury it?
They
I
buried
them
it.
burying it.
I don't remember them burying it either.
I remember because as a kid, I was like, why the fuck did they bury it?
Why are you just trying to convince Jeremy to do his Mandela Effect episode?
Why are you also just rewriting, like you just watched like the Steven Hillenburg cut of that episode?
Hang on now, I have to...
I remember them briefly pushing it.
Yeah.
And like there's not
and then they push it under a cliff and the bullworm falls on top of it.
Yeah, no, but they have to they buried it and then pushed it.
I don't think they did.
Bet.
I don't think
is this
they
like an
buried
actual
it.
Mandela effect?
I think it is.
Somebody look that up and let us know.
I don't think they buried the town. Because why would they?
Well, that's the thing. That's what always bothered me as a kid.
I think you're just a stupid kid.
No, I swear to God.
I'm just wondering if you saw something and you were like, oh, well, that's clearly them burying it, but it was something else.
The bullworm was underground for a bit.
I'm just looking through images.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever burying Bikini Bottom at any point. Into the mic, please.
We'll definitely get copyright strike if you do that.
I've got this put out. I'm just losing my mind.
Yeah. So,
that idea is just so stupid that it might get us all killed. Yeah.
No, yeah, but they bury it.
That's not buried.
Yeah, it's
no,
buried.
it's just zoomed out.
No, it's buried.
No, that's just the size of the town.
No, it's not. It's
yes,
usually
it is.
taller.
They're not big because they're zoomed out.
But
when you were 3,
rewatch
did
that
you
episode.
miss the ability to get object permanence?
Yeah,
No,
so,
look.
Adrian, out of curiosity, you see how big this can is?
Yeah, it's like
all right,
an
now
inch.
what if I put it over here? How big is
Wait,
it? Is
are
it a
you
little smaller?
Yeah,
implying
look.
because there's a cliff?
No, it's actually buried. Have you never noticed?
It's not buried.
Yes,
though.
it
Give me your
is.
phone. I will be the final.
Oh my god, it's not buried. That's just
It's
how it
buried.
looks.
No,
Even
I
when
swear
they
to
zoom out,
God.
it has like the little ridges on the sand because the buildings are sitting on the sand.
No, they bury it. Like,
Okay,
100%
here's the
they
thing.
bury it.
Here's the thing. The only reason I understand why you're saying that now, because some of these buildings do look one story when I only ever remember seeing 2-story versions of those buildings. But I will also say the anchor is the exact same size as it would be in every other thing.
No, but like seriously, they go rewatch the episode.
I don't need to.
Yeah,
you
you
showed it
Show
right
me
there.
the clip. What is this?
No,
What if I
watch
have context the episode? You'd be like, oh, you'll see.
They don't bury it. It's just
They do
zoomed
bury
out.
it. They do bury it. 100% they
It's
do.
literally zoomed out for the bit of the bullworm falling on it.
So send a comment to see whether or not you think that it's buried or not. Go ahead and watch the episode. We're not sponsored by them, but, like
Could be.
everything. Yeah.
We can be sponsored by literally anything except Shock Top.
Yeah.
100%.
Unless Shock Top wants to give us
Shock Top.
money, then we are totally okay
Or
with
if they want to eat my
Sorry.
ass.
Sorry. No, I can't do it. Shock Top is just garbage.
Dude, I've been seeing a bunch of Twitch streamers get sponsored by Truly's recently, and I'm just like, that seems pretty sick.
So anyways, where were we?
We were talking about the ghost ship.
So the ship is essentially a ghost. The crew is dead. They tried to come to port around the Cape of Good Hope in South Africa because of a huge storm that came in. Nobody let them in, and then they died. So the ship itself doesn't really do much. It doesn't attack people. It doesn't.
Just sails ominously in the distance.
Yes, but if you see it sailing ominously in the distance, it is seen as a harbinger of death and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't physically do it. It's kind of like Mothman,
Okay.
where Mothman would just show up and be like, "Eh!" and then people would be like, bridge is fucked, dude.
Yeah.
For this ship goes up and it goes, whoosh. That's the sound of the ocean that the ship's on.
I thought, okay, yeah, good.
And then people are like, fuck, we're gonna sink.
Does it have a nice ass?
Oh, it's
The
gotta.
ship?
I bet it does.
They don't call it the poop deck for no reason.
Oh my fucking god, I hate that. So the ship seems to be whereas a harbinger of death and destruction, the ship is almost acting in a benevolent way to warn people, because if you see the Flying Dutchman and you correct course, typically the ship will be fine. So it serves kind of benevolently as just a warning, not saying this will happen, but it can. It's
Okay.
frequently seen with full sails of, like, their sails full of wind, regardless of the current weather. It doesn't matter where the wind is pushing, no matter what, the mast is always full of wind. And sailors have surmised that the crew of the Flying Dutchman must have committed heinous crimes themselves to be cursed on the Flying Dutchman ship. The crew isn't there anymore, but to have not been able to come to port, to be destroyed by a storm, many sailors have concluded that that doesn't really happen. So they must have done something horrible for this to occur, which is what the Rime of the Ancient Mariner is based on, if you've ever read Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Just me?
Do you think that I have ever read anything?
I was really hoping you would just stay silent for like 5 seconds, because that was just the sentence. Just, do you think I have ever read?
That was the sentence. Do you think I'm the kind of person that reads?
No.
Yeah.
Good point.
Fucking remind yourself of that next time you
I
ask
don't-
me such a stupid question.
I don't think you know how.
No.
You never learned.
I missed that day in kindergarten. Fucked me up for the next 12 years of schooling. People are like, can you read this? I'm like, yeah, sure, I sure can. What do you think it says?
So after many years of being
Can
harassed,
I get on the boat?
No.
But that's bullshit. Yes, I can. I can get on the boat.
The shit, it's a ghost ship.
Yeah, but
in
it's
most
off in the
literal term.
distance.
Yeah, but if you sailed up to it and tried to get on it, you just fall overboard.
I just go faster than it.
No, but you can't touch it.
Yes, I can.
It's intangible.
That doesn't make any sense. Ghosts don't have spirits. It's just sailing around as a ship.
What does that mean?
Well, like when a person dies and they become a ghost, I'm seeing their spirit. Ghosts. Oh, I see what you're saying because I misspoke. Boats don't have spirits.
Yeah.
Ghosts don't have spirits either when a ghost dies.
Have you followed any of this?
Okay.
I'm so confused.
Okay.
Like, what are you trying to say?
Currently, when
I
you're
know it's
human,
a bit, but you normally have some logic to your bits.
When humans die, they become ghosts. When ghosts die, second ghost.
Ghosts don't die, though.
Yes, they do.
No, they
They're
pass
already
on.
dead.
Nope.
They.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I had a theologist in the room with me. But now ghost ships.
No, you have a cryptozoologist.
Real ship, when it dies, doesn't become a ghost because it doesn't have a spirit.
Well, it's not a ghost; it's an apparition.
No, you're wrong. I don't know where you got that information from. That's wrong.
Why are you
I'm
both
just
arguing
saying-
about something that doesn't even fucking
It does matter because here's the thing: if we were
Well,
both on a boat,
were you gonna say it doesn't matter or it doesn't exist?
doesn't exist?
You son of a bitch! Everything we talk about on the show is pure, unadulterated fact.
and you can get on any of them.
Yeah, wait. So after many years of being
Name a cryptid you can't get on.
the Flying Dutchman,
It's not a cryptid because it's a boat.
You could get on any cryptid, bro.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to, you can.
What was that picture you posted in the Discord where it was the sign someone put on their lawn?
Oh, yeah.
That was like, Bigfoot is real. I know he exists. I'm gonna find him and I'm gonna fuck him.
Yeah, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're in love.
Yeah.
You can get on Bigfoot.
Oh, I would love to get on Bigfoot.
If I was sailing in a ship and I saw the ghost ship,
Uh-huh.
I would sail towards it and get on.
Okay. You know,
And there'd be treasure on that ship,
genuinely
and I'd be loaded.
one of the sightings that kind of happens, but they don't get on the ship.
You know why?
Because they
They didn't have the will to do it. They didn't believe in themselves hard enough. They were like, "You ready to get on?" Some guy was probably like, "It's probably a ghost ship," and everyone's like, "Well, I'm too stupid to know that that's not true."
Yeah, everyone else just fell through the ship when they tried to get on because they believed they would.
They willed that ship into non-corporealness.
Yeah, but you
Hop on.
believe you can get on the ship, and thus you are Davy Jones.
I'll do a fucking
What you're
dive
trying
roll.
to tell me is that you are Davy Jones.
Wait, so where does the whole Davy Jones thing... Like, does that have anything to do with it?
Different myth.
It comes from the idea of Davy Jones' locker, which is a...
Well, it's like hell or something, right?
It's basically the bottom of the ocean. Like
Okay.
when you go to Davy Jones' locker, your ship is just sunk. It's
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you would know because you are Mr. Jones.
Yeah,
Can I call you Davy?
you may not.
All right. I love the can I call you Davy? And then it's like, you can as long as you pronounce it Mr. Jones. That's Admiral Jones to you.
All right, here's the thing. Get me a boat. We're gonna find it.
We're gonna
hop
find the
on
Flying
it.
Dutchman.
And I'm gonna hop on it.
Nobody's seen it since the 1940s.
It's because they don't believe.
That's true. He's
Also-
right. He's got me there.
Why doesn't that happen to more ships? Like, why am I not just seeing like a World War II vessel sailing around?
I mean, there are World War II vessels that are sailing around.
No, I mean like Ghost World War. I'm not sorry. I didn't just mean like why don't
You know,
World War II vessels float?
I actually want to look into that because that is a good point. I wonder if there are like ghost ships of like this was a battleship from 1942 kind of
and
thing.
it's like, oh, this one went missing. Like, because you think that type of myth would
persist.
continue, but with a more modern.
You know what? I do have something in here that might be the reason for that, but we'll get to it.
Also, it explains why we don't see it anymore because like that type of ship probably doesn't sail as often as.
Yes, we'll get to that. So after many years of sailors being harassed by the ghost ship, sailors and scholars from around the globe began to...
Why do they care if they're getting harassed if they can't touch the boat?
Well, they're trying to pinpoint exactly what happened to this boat and specifically who was the captain of it. So the first agreed upon legend was published in Blackwood's Edinburgh magazine in 1821. And I know that you can't read, but Jeremy, if you wouldn't mind reading this excerpt for me.
It's been a while. I haven't done this since kindergarten. Let's see if I'm as rusty as I say I am. Am I just starting from the top here?
Yeah, the indented bit.
She was an Amsterdam vessel and sailed from port 70 years ago. Her master's name was Vanderdecken.
Ooh. I know.
He was a staunch seaman who would...
God damn it, Adrian. I'm actually impressed we got this far before you broke at the word seaman.
I almost broke when I read it.
I had you read the first one because I didn't want to say Indiaman. Shit!
I didn't want to say seaman. That's in my contract.
It's just staunch seaman.
No, it's quite good.
He was a staunch seaman and would have his own way in spite of the devil. For all that...
You got it, dude. Bonk this man.
Let me go get my helmet.
I'm laughing just because.
Sorry that you're just giving me just this sexually charged sentence.
Well,
it's
in
like
Adrian's,
Vanderdecken and the Pussy Pounders. You know, the
Adrian and his had to read that the seamen were infatuated, and he didn't break there.
Well, no, it's just like the look that you gave me after that.
Well, because I saw you turn away from the mic, and I'm like, he's about to lose it.
Go ahead, Jeremy. I'm sorry for interrupting.
It's okay. Now I know how it
he's
feels.
A staunch seaman.
He is a staunch seaman, and would have his own way in spite of the devil. For all that, never a sailor under him would reason to complain. Though how it is on board with them, nobody knows. The story is this. Man, I really haven't read since kindergarten.
No, but like writings from this era are impossible.
It's really hard.
Because I'm like, oh, well, I've seen these words before, and usually they're like they come with these other words,
yes,
and now I'm
but
like,
they didn't write like that for a very long time. That's why I'm having you guys read. I got fucking tired of
No,
reading
dude,
this shit.
like I kept stumbling over my words. It's really hard.
Yeah, when you were reading it, I was like, I'm a fucking clue what is that. I'm gonna wait for the cliff notes.
Yeah.
The story is this: that in doubling the Cape, they were a long day trying to weather the Table Bay. Is Table Bay like a...
That's the one sentence I was hoping you wouldn't ask me questions on.
Okay.
Because I have no fucking clue what that sentence means.
It is capitalized, so it's clearly a name. But who knows? However, the wind headed them, or heated them. It would be headed.
That's correct, headed, yeah.
Maybe he was listening to them. He was like, hey, wind, where are we going? He's like, hold on, let me check.
The wind was like, what direction are you sailing? Other direction.
Damn it! Every fucking time! At least in real life, they had oars to deal with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You cannot help in Sea of Thieves. You just kind of have
You're just sitting there and you're playing your instruments.
Yeah, you sit there and play your instruments. Or if you're me, you get all of the food the crew has, individually puts it on fish hooks, and wastes all of it fishing.
And then just makes a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I made a shit ton of money off fishing in that game.
I mean, you could just cook the fish. So.
Well, you do, and then you get more money if you cook it perfectly.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I did.
Yeah, there you go.
So the wind headed them.
The wind did headed them. It's so weird how it feels like I said that incorrect, but I'm not sure. And went against them more and more. And Vanderdecken walked the deck, swearing at the wind. Just after sunset, a vessel spoke him. After him, if he did not mean to go into the bay that night, Vanderdecken replied, May I be eternally damned if I do, though I should beat about here till the day of judgment. And to be sure, he never did go into that bay, for it is believed that he... I'm really upset that that's the part, the one that I would the one that went to regular English and I was like, have at thee!
Have at thee, for it believe it is.
Once again, haven't read since kindergarten. That's a fact. Of course.
Well, you didn't even read in kindergarten.
I didn't even read in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Honestly, impressive I got this far.
Yeah, I am blown away.
Yeah. I'm just working off of context clues. Hoping I'm saying the words right.
Yeah, you were there for that one.
Though I should beat about here till the day of my judgment, and to be sure, he never did go into that bay, for it is believed that he continued to beat about these seas still, and will do so long enough This vessel is never seen but with foul weather along with her. Okay, so he was like, yo, let me into that bay. And they were like, we're not feeling it. And then he was like, fuck you then. How about that?
Well, he wasn't just like, fuck you then. How about that? He also said, fuck you. I'm going to get in that bay. And if I don't, I'll fucking die. Then he did.
Is that a like a written, is that anecdotal or was that like an actual written thing that somebody said?
Into the mic.
I did do it in the mic.
No, you did it below the mic.
Yeah. Show me the definition of into.
You hold it up to the mic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well, for future reference. So this was written in a magazine of the time, but this is based on reports that various sailors and scholars attested to.
Oh, okay.
So it is anecdotal.
But a lot
that's
of
the end of the statement, actually.
Yeah, so it is anecdotal.
Yeah.
Well, so it's kind of like a biography then? Like,
yeah, essentially.
Like they never talked to the person, but this is most likely what happened.
Yeah, so Vanderdecken essentially said, there's a storm coming, I need to get into port. The ports were like, fuck you, Vanderdecken. And he was like, well, fuck you, and fuck the storm, and fuck the wind, and fuck the ocean. If I don't get into port, I will, he basically said, I will get into port, or I will fucking die. And on my judgment day, if I never got into port, and I fucking died, then I will essentially curse myself to sail these seas forever. And then he did. That's where they believe the curse came from, because he was like...
But he's not a ghost on his ship. So he's already breaking his own lore. He's like, I'm going to sail these seas forever. And then his ship was like,
it is a bit debated whether or not Vanderdecken is still captain of the ship and that he is still controlling it, or if his spirit is part of the ship now. You know what I mean?
Feels like
he's not crewing it.
Yeah,
but it is him.
He's like embodying the ship.
Yes, that's the word.
Here's the thing. More reason why I'd be
you
able
can
to get
touch
on
him,
that boat.
yeah.
Because he would be like, fucking finally, someone to lower the sails. He's like, we have been going in circles. I did not plan for this. It was only me. I asked my first mate to say something. He declined. I've been stuck in this boat. Literally have no fucking control over this. We're just sailing in circles. Every time someone sees me, I'm like, oh, please get on the fucking boat. We got really close one time. Nobody wanted to get on. And I'd hop on and he'd be like, nice.
Be like, here's $1 million.
Yeah. Here's the chest of all the gold that we had. We were going to bury it, but they wouldn't let us into the bay. So we just said, fuck you. We're going somewhere else.
And then died.
Yeah.
So let's talk about...
Are there skeletons on the boat?
No. Not
Probably fell through the boat, didn't they? They didn't believe her enough.
People do not ever see a crew on it.
They're also far away. So like if I was far away from a boat...
Is it telescope?
It's a
telescope.
There's another name for it, though.
A spyglass.
Spyglass! That's what I was looking for.
Is there Yeah, I guess
if you put two of them next to each other, it's binoculars.
Spinoculars.
Hell yeah.
I guess it would be a telescope because the whole point is they do, I just mind pulling it.
Yes, of course, yeah. A spyglass is a telescope, but they called it a spyglass. But let's talk about sightings, right?
Yeah.
Because there have been a lot of them, not very interesting, just like spooky ship, let's go to port, and then they do.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of the sightings. But there's a couple that are interesting. And one of them happened in 1881 to the HMS Bacont, I believe is how you're supposed to pronounce it. Prince George V was serving as a midshipman on this voyage, and they were off the coast of Australia, roughly between Melbourne and Sydney. And it was around 4 a.m.
Sorry. For some reason, when you said that, I thought you meant literally like as a crow flies. I'm like, they're on land if that's the case. They are way off.
The ship had a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was around 4 a.m. and his report reads, and I'll read this one, boys, don't worry. July 11th at 4 a.m., the Flying Dutchman crossed our bows. A strange red light, as of a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars the sails of a brig 200 yards distance, stood out in strong relief as she came up on the port bow, where also the officer of the watch from the bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward at once to the forecastle. But upon arriving there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship was to be either near or right away to the horizon, and the night being clear and the sea being calm. 13 persons altogether saw her. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seaman who had his report... At 10:45 a.m., there, it finally got me. At 10:45 a.m., the ordinary seaman who had this morning reported the Flying Dutchman fell from the Fortepass cross trees onto the Topgallant forecastle and was smashed to atoms. So 13 people saw the ship, and they just kind of sat there and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy essentially on the crow's nest who was reporting upon the ship about 6 hours later fucking fell out of it and he says got smashed to atoms. So just must have splat on the deck.
What year was this?
1881.
Did they have a concept of atoms?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
The atom model was already around. The Bohr model, I think.
Huh.
Okay. Now, about 40 years earlier, in 1835, the Flying Dutchman was seen in the exact same area by another British vessel. While sailing through the heavy fog, the Brits suddenly spotted the ghost ship suddenly in front of them. So they're sailing, the fog is super heavy, they can't see shit in front of them, and then out of fucking nowhere, there's another ship in front of them, and they identify as the Flying Dutchman. They had no time to change course, and instead sailed directly through the ship at ramming speed. They passed through the ship unscathed because it's intangible and they didn't believe hard enough. And the apparition disappeared completely from sight behind them. But the last report of the Flying Dutchman came from a Nazi U-boat in 1941 that was captained by Admiral Karl Donitz. The crew saw the man of war while patrolling the Suez Canal, but the report was officially classified as a mirage. What's interesting is the Suez Canal was... so there was the coast of Australia, right, where these two ships back in the 1800s saw it. And then in the 1900s, another very common place to see the ship was the Suez Canal.
And he's always just fucking blocking that canal, isn't he?
Well, I was going to make a point about, like, I wonder if that's what distracted him.
Yeah.
He was just like, there's a ghost ship! Skirt!
Before we came in to record this, I read that apparently another boat is currently blocking it right now.
Are you fucking for real?
I saw that earlier. Yeah.
I hope... Because the first one apparently blocked because it lost steering.
Yes.
So it basically kept bouncing off the sides until it basically completely
until Austin Powers.
It Tokyo drifted into an Austin Powers.
Hell yeah!
You say that sentence 200 years ago, and they're gonna be like, "The fuck you mean?"
And the second one just saw the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, the second one just saw the Flying Dutchman. It's honestly, it's embarrassing to do it the first time, but to be the second person to do it,
Is it like the same
I don't think
company?
I don't think it's the same company here.
Oh man, could you imagine if it was the Evergreen again? It was the same shit.
They're coming back.
Yeah, on the way back they get stuck. That would be that would prove to me we're living in a simulation.
I think it might have already been freed. Like
they were ready for it this time.
Yeah, they were like, sort of fucking god, somebody get me. Somebody get me what do you call the big tractors with the
excavator?
Yeah, that is what I was thinking.
Yeah,
is it not called a cat?
Well, that's the company who makes them.
Oh, so that's CAT.
Yeah,
they're not called caterpillars.
Well, no, they're called cats, but the company is CAT. Yeah, it's like how a Jeep is a general purpose vehicle, which was GP, which is Jeep.
No.
Yeah, no, you didn't know that?
No.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
no.
a Jeep, it's called a Jeep because when it was originally used by the military, it was a GP, which stood for general purpose vehicle. And then say GP, Jeep. It eventually just became Jeep.
This is why I keep Tyler as a friend. He sometimes comes up with like these things that I had no idea about, nor did I really care to look up.
These are the things that stick in my head.
I love the idea that he's only in the friends group who's like occasionally he says something kind of fun. I'm only in the friends group.
That's why you're
because
here.
Yeah, I just will myself because I believe hard.
Yeah, because you believe, so you can touch the friend group.
I don't know if I like that. They're like, what happened? Jeremy just touched the friend group again.
Second time this week.
Is he Suez Canaling us right now? Where you think you're done with it, that he's back just ruining everything again.
So you know something that I think you would like to touch, other than the Flying Dutchman or the friend group? Arthurian sorceress Morgan Le Fay.
Dude, is that a man or a woman?
It's a woman. It's a sorceress.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't listen that hard enough. That's the answer to that. I heard Morgan and I was like, that's a gender neutral name. And then I stopped listening. I just thought, what if that was another name?
Morgan Le Fay is an Arthurian sorceress
From Arthurian times?
From Arthurian legends, yeah, like King Arthur and the Round Table.
She saw the Flying Dutchman?
Well, no, but she's known to be a sorceress who conjures images and duplicates of herself. She basically does the shit Loki does, where she can just like conjure things. And there is a very interesting phenomena that occurs called the Fata Morgana, which is named after her because it's about seeing illusions and mirages differently than they actually exist. And it's a real thing that happened that occurs very frequently at sea, in polar areas, and in deserts. So due to the bending of light rays in areas where large thermal inversion and or atmospheric ducts exist, versions of things on the horizon can become distorted to the human eye. So just to keep people along here, Adrian.
Thank you.
A thermal inversion is basically where hot and cold meet each other and switch very quickly.
That's a tornado.
I was about to say that.
Well, it can cause those things, yes. But this is like when it's on the horizon, essentially. Yeah. Atmospheric ducts are when the horizon meets the end of your vision, which allows you to witness, physically see light bending around the curvature of the Earth, which is why it happens so frequently in polar areas, deserts, and the ocean, because they're
flat.
Big flat areas, yeah. That you can see.
I mean, the Earth is flat, so.
That's true.
That is true. So this
did you take that into account when you came up with this stupid theory?
I love that this is the stupid theory.
Yeah.
Because that's fact, the Earth being flat.
Yeah, everybody knows that, yeah.
So pretend with me that the Earth is round.
I'll try.
We're already pretending that the Flying Dutchman exists and that some people can't touch it. So let's try to...
we know some people can't touch it. And we know why as well.
Oh my God. So you can physically see the curvature of the Earth if you look on these flat plains far enough, right?
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Did you imagine the Earth with big fat ass because it's curvy?
No, my first thought was, oh man, if I got to the Flying Dutchman, there'd be a lot of dead people around there. I could be a skinwalker very quickly. Because it feels like you got two powers at that point. You're
just gonna suck off Vanderdecken and then turn into a seagull.
Okay, it's also at the same time. First of all, they'd be like, "Why is that one seagull on? Does that seagull believe hard enough?" And I'd be like, "They'll never know."
And then you wink at Vanderdecken's corpse.
Well, I was planning on having sex with Ghost.
Okay, yeah, I think
which might just be the ship.
Yeah, you're just gonna fuck the rudder.
Maybe I'll find an easier access point than climbing under a moving boat.
You're just gonna climb on one of the cannons and go to town.
Yeah, and then superpowers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Keep that in mind. Here's the thing, everyone. Every time we bring this up, I feel like I pull you guys closer to the. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Nobody said it's like, oh well, vampires exist. Then Bella Swan could have become a skinwalker very easily.
That's right. He's got a good point.
She actually can. She fucked him before she became a vampire.
She could probably be a skinwalker vampire. Does it count if you're dead too?
Here's the thing. Apparently, you go up to a meeting and they gatekeep you. Is for some reason how you described it to me.
Yeah, because they're like, yeah, this guy fucked Vanderdecken and that guy ate a fruit roll-up. They're basically the same thing.
No. That guy ate a fruit roll-up and the other guy committed genocide.
Basically the same thing.
No. They're very different.
I'm referring to the point that you referred to
fruit
fucking
roll-up
corpse
was
as
fucking
easy
a
as
corpse. Was eating it was as good as eating a fruit roll-up. Saying murdering family members oh, that's so much fucking work. That's not fruit roll-up territory, is what candidate of Skinwalkers
that's like a dry, unfrosted Pop-Tart. Is that more like it? Where it's kind of a chore?
What's an unfrosted?
Yeah, they sell those.
Is it just like a...
They sell
this conversation is getting cut out, by the way, because it is so unfunny. Tell me more about the fucking boat.
So a common version of the Fata Morgana appears like how you would look through how things look through a refraction lens.
Yeah.
If you ever look through one, which will make ships, islands, etc., basically anything on the horizon appear with a flipped mirror image above it.
Sure.
Something Persona 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, because does it even... I see what you're saying. Because it's just regular mirage. You're seeing what you're looking at.
A mirage is a result of the phenomena of the Fata Morgana.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I figure that's where you're going to, because I'm aware of the...
Yeah. So this image can appear, you can see the original and the flipped image above it. It can merge the images. It can get rid of, in your eyes, the real one and only show you a flipped or distorted image. There's a bunch of ways that the Fata Morgana can be perceived depending on where you're at, what the circumstances are like, etc.
I think it's also possible for you to basically see like the mirror image but on the clouds.
Yes.
Like it's like projecting
yes.
And so that's where a lot of people go, oh, there's like a fucking flying like thing up there.
Now hold that thought. So a lot of people consider today for this to be the actual source of sightings of the Flying Dutchman is that people easily could see, and we have proof of the Fata Morgana occurring all over the world, and obviously would have occurred back in the 1800s as well.
I feel like I can see I can see that effect like just driving up a straight road. Like
yes,
it's not.
You can. And that has to do with the thermal inversion variant of it.
It's because the
asphalt,
black tarmac,
is making the air around it super fucking hot. And I was actually going to mention, we live in California. We see a version of the Fata Morgana like every fucking day. When you look out in the distance and it almost looks like things are like wavy, that's Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
So a lot of people perceive this to be the source of the Flying Dutchman because it can produce odd lights in an area. It can produce distorted versions of anything, including other vessels on the sea that are just exactly on the horizon from you. And it can also give the illusion of a ship moving at incredibly high speeds, which would show why people would always mention the Flying Dutchman with like full sails because it was moving so goddamn quick. It can make an image look like it's practically teleporting if the circumstances are correct.
Right.
It will obviously be unaffected by weather because it's not real. So there's a lot of things about the Flying Dutchman that are just like, that's just the Fata Morgana. And that's also probably why we don't see the Flying Dutchman anymore. Because like you mentioned earlier, ships like that don't sail anymore. So you literally cannot see
You're not going to get a mirage or something that's not there.
But you could probably see like a battleship out in the distance doing the same thing.
Right.
It's just that now we know the Fata Morgana exists. This phenomenon is also what people consider to be the legends of phantom islands appearing. Have you ever heard of these? Where like an island appears on the horizon.
And then you go to it and there's nothing there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or that it'll always show up on this day of this year, this time, because that's just the perfect time for the Fata Morgana to be shown.
They're like, it's really hot this day, so therefore.
Essentially, yes. It's also why many UFO sightings could be attributed to it because of exactly what you were saying, where a lot of time it can project an image on the cloud layer above, which would look like a flying saucer. And this is considered exactly what Levi saw back in Rome because he saw a ship. He referred to it as a ship. And I think I mentioned it in that video as well. What we think of as a ship is not the same as what an ancient Roman thought of as a ship.
Right.
This motherfucker saw a canoe in the sky is what he saw, which would make sense if he saw a ship projected on the cloud layer, because that would be what we see as UFOs as well. A lot of people have pointed out you're potentially seeing a reflective, like metallic water tank, for example, or like a satellite dish or a power line just being reflected in the air, and that looks like a flying saucer. It also explains why they move erratically, why they seem to teleport, why they are bright as shit a lot of times. So weirdly, me playing Sea of Thieves, watching Pirates of the Caribbean, looking into the Flying Dutchman.
Came back to fucking aliens.
Always.
Yeah, it's either ghosts or aliens.
It's either ghosts or aliens. And some people think that ghosts are just Pleiadians.
Oh, yeah.
Well, those people are wrong.
Because you fucked a ghost and you're a skinwalker, yeah.
I was going to keep that a secret because all the other skinwalkers are like, what a loser. That guy fucked a ghost. But they're like, I just like killed someone. I'm like, yeah, shut up. Sure, I couldn't do the cool part.
Okay, so having sex with the corpses is easy as eating a fruit roll-up.
But it's not as cool.
And killing someone you're related to is really cool.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? But here's the thing, we're talking skinwalker standards.
Yeah.
Killing two people? Very cool.
Again, you just kind of invented this leveling system with skinwalkers, and I cannot express that is not part of the legend.
Well, here's the thing, I go there and they say, what'd you do? And I'm like, give me the powers first, and I'll tell you.
Nothing like haggling with a dark council of Native American wizards.
We're gonna turn you into a gross beast, and I'm like,
too late.
Yeah,
my mom and dad did that already.
It's like, what are you gonna threaten me with? Making me a skinwalker?
I would no. What you say is you're like, oh, please don't turn me into a skinwalker. That sounds awful.
Yeah.
And they turn you into a skinwalker and go like, joke's on you, bitch.
Yeah. And they're like, wait, what did you do? I'm like, I fucked a skeleton. They're like,
no!
A living one? Quick, unpower that man. I'm a hawk. I'm already flying out of that bad boy, you know?
How do you fuck a skeleton?
Carefully. How do you not?